Alrighty, and just like that, the second match week of the 2026 MLS regular season is in the books, and so is a quadruple header of action we have today on Sunday. Have just come to a conclusion, and I gotta say, I wish we have more of this because I really enjoying seeing four games that's happening all on Sunday, and that they're not overlapping each other, and we have soccer starting in the morning and goes all the way into the evening as well. But with that being said, in terms of this match week, and this is kind of the same storyline as we said in terms of the last match week as well, where the big storyline of this week is that the Eastern Conference continue to have their struggle in interconference matchup. It's hard to believe that we are now into the second match day and we still have not seen an Eastern Conference team beating a Western Conference team in an interconference matchup. And this was kind of the last hope in terms of the game between Austin FC versus DC United, where maybe DC can join the New York Red Bulls of becoming the only other team to not drop points in the East. It's still kind of hard to believe that pretty much everybody have already dropped points in the Eastern Conference after just two match day, and the only team that hasn't done it is the New York Red Bulls. But yeah, this was a game where it looked like this was gonna end 0-0. I mean, despite the fact that there were some chances in this one, it wasn't like this was a game where it was a barn burner. I mean, most of these chances wasn't really that difficult to handle by the goalkeeper. But when all things in doubt, why not rely on Superman in this game? Now, early on, Ely had a shot that was bobbled by Johnson and create some chaos in the box, but it was clear off the line there. And then Johnson would deny Ely from point blank in the fifth minute, and both of those happening in the set piece as well. So this was kind of a problem for DC early in this one, where the set piece defending for DC was pretty much non-existent. And this also would be the theme in terms of this game for DC as well, as it feels like they kind of forgot how to defend set pieces, and especially as good as Sean Johnson was in the last game, in this one he was very shaky, especially when the ball was coming in. There was just way too many times where he just get caught trying to get to the ball when the ball was coming into the box and doesn't get to it. But there was no doubt that Austin was on the front foot, and again they almost scored from the set piece as well, almost scored from the corner, just like they did against Minnesota in the 7 minutes last week. Squat tug would then hits it high from the corner, and again Johnson once again missed the ball coming into the box there, and it was very lucky that Swat tug actually missed this one. In fact, the shots were 4-0 for Austin early on. It was pretty clear that Los Verdes was controlling this one. Though Peglo would then puts it from over, as that was DC's first chance before Kojima puts it right to Stuver in the 25th minute. Torres would then hits it right to Johnson before Peglo would do the same thing as he hits it right to Stuver. So again, the shots on goal tally, as we'll talk about in the stats, it looks pretty high, but when you actually look at this game, most of these shots on goal are relatively easy by goalkeeper. Or in the case, whenever you see a player hits the ball right to the goalkeeper, I call that kind of stat padding in terms of goalkeeper trying to stat pad their saves that they have this year. But there was no doubt that both of these teams was exchanging some chances. But like I said, the shots on target didn't really trouble either goalkeeper. Heinz Ike would then hits it right to Johnson before Pereira would hits it over from long range in the 45th minute. We do head to halftime with the score scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Johnson would deny Torres from close. Not much really happened, at least in the beginning of the second half. Baribo would then hits it over from close range. It was a very quiet game for Repo. So after an incredible first game that he has, which I'm pretty sure he had some personal vendetta against the Union, he was kind of invisible in this game as well. And at times, he was kind of frustrated that he wasn't getting the service from this DC team. Rosales would then puts it over from long range before we saw Piani puts it over from close in the 79th minute. It just kind of feel like not only this game is on a knife edge, but is anybody going to finally able to show some finishing and some better quality in the final third? Well, the good news is somebody finally did so. And as I said, when all in doubt, rely on Superman. As Christian Ramirez making his debut for Austin in this one after getting picked up as a free agent after the Galaxy waived him just a couple of days ago. Well, it made an instant impact to this Austin team straight away. He wastes no time to do so, as he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of Austin. It's his first goal for Austin. It's hard to believe that it was just a couple of days ago, and really just last week, that he was still on the Galaxy and was still on this team playing the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's hard to believe now that he's gone to Austin. And before you ask, yes, I wish Minnesota would have picked him them up, but I can maybe kind of understand why they didn't, because maybe they think they might eat up a lot of the cap that is, which kind of weird because Minnesota doesn't really have a salary cap tightness like what we see with other teams. But nevertheless, Austin of course got the reward, and yeah, it was 1-0 in favor of Austin. Not great defending from DC whatsoever, and guess what? It came off of a set piece. Like I said, as the old saying goes, you can only play with fire for so long until it finally burns you. And DC was playing with a lot of fire when it comes to defending set pieces. They just had no idea in terms of dealing with it. And once again, this was a sequence where John Johnson trying to come off his lines to get to it. Didn't get to it, leave an empty net for Ramirez to put it in. And yeah, I mean, you just kind of had a feeling that if anyone was going to score, especially for Austin in this game, if they were going to score, it's going to come off of a set piece because, like I said, DC they just had no answer in terms of this game, how to defend it. And yeah, that was kind of the difference in this game as the shots in this one. Again, on paper it looks like there was a lot of shots, but when you look at the XG in terms of this game, it was relatively low because most of these shots weren't really high quality shots. 16 shots for the 8 that DC had, 9 shots on goal for the 2 that DC had. Both teams had 3 shots off target, 3 shots that was blocked for the 1 that DC had, and possession wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that DC has in this game. And while I would say if you're an Austin fan, I mean, you might not be too inspired in terms of this performance, at least on an attacking perspective. At least they bounced back after that tough uh resort that they had against Minnesota, where they were on their way to get all 3 points, and then they dropped it at the very last second because they themselves also forgot how to defend. And for DC, after that positive start that they had with the Union, it feels like they're kind of crashing back down to earth. This is kind of what we expect from DC this season, especially on the road, and also this is kind of what we expect in terms of the defense, which is yeah, let's just say that it's probably not going to be very good this season. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next match, and what a game this turns out to be. I mean, honestly, this felt like it was a playoff game, and it's not very often I say that, even though we're only 2 games into the season. But it just kind of had that playoff kind of atmosphere, and it just kind of also have a feeling that yeah, these two teams they do not like each other whatsoever, and it kind of makes sense. Not only the fact that both of these cities are only separated by 90 miles, but they face each other so many times in the playoffs. There is definitely that hatred that is being shown between the Union and NYCFC. Now in the first half, the Union was definitely on the front foot early. They were getting a good job in terms of winning the ball back high up the pitch, and NYCFC just kind of pinned deep in their own half, similar to what we saw with NYCFC in their first game against the Galaxy when they really start off the game slow. The first shot of the game did see John Jack had a shot that was denied by Freeze. But apparently they said it was a goal kick, even though it looked like it was clearly off of Freeze as well. I mean, I look at the one replay, definitely looked like Freeze got a hand to that one, but they call it a goal kick, so not a shot on goal on the stat chart. John Jack would then miss wide from close in the 16th minute as the shots were 2-0 early for the in 17 minutes in. The first shot for NYCFC did see Ojeda struck the post from close range. So yeah, NYCFC, after pretty much not being in this game for the first 20 or so minute, almost scored completely against the run of play in the 26th. But there was no doubt that I thought as the game goes on, as the first half goes on, NYCFC was starting to gain a foothold into this game. But now can they be a little bit cleaner in the final third? And that is a big if, because as we all no, with this team, this was kind of the problem for them both in the preseason and in the game against the Galaxy, where their final third quality really let them down throughout the day. O'Toole would then hits one that was actually punched away by Blake before he tried to poke one in just 6 minutes later, but he also hits that one right to Blake. There was no doubt the momentum definitely switched to NYCFC. They started to get more of the possession. They started to control the game more, and this was kind of interesting to see. With both of these teams love to have possession, who's going to be the one that dictate the game. Well, early on, the Union looked like they were going to be the team to do so, but NYCFC quickly switched that momentum, and as a result, they got their goal. As in the 36th minute, Hannes Wolf would get the opener for NYCFC, the first goal that NYCFC scored that is not from the penalty spot. Blake did make a great save here for Fernandez Markel, but Wolf was Johnny on the spot, cleaning up that mess in the back post to give NYCFC a 1-0 lead. Gray then looked for another, but he was denied by Blake before Ilowski would put it wide from long range in the 45th minute. But we do head to halftime with NYCFC leading 1-0 in this game. In the second half, Blake would deny Fernandez Markel from long range before Anello would puts it right to Blake in the 54th minute. I also thought it was a pretty open game as well. It feels like there wasn't really too much midfield in this game. Both of these teams were going very quickly to bypass the midfield as well. Freeze would then deny Kuznetsky from close in the 60th minute before Hariel would miss one from the volley in the 66th minute. And this is where the momentum starts to switch back to the Union. And again, this was a game that has a lot of momentum switch. It just kind of had that playoff feeling kind of game where it was kind of back and forth depending on the moment. And now all of a sudden, the Union has the momentum back. But now, can they show that clinical finishing, which was kind of missing up to that point? They also in that play in the hurry up attempt, they actually did go to VAR to see whether or not was there actually a foul even before the shot from Hariel, where it looked like Iloski was brought down by Gustavo in the box, and they had a very long look at it. And I thought the longer they look at this, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be overturned because that's just how it is. And yeah, VAR says no in terms of that play. I mean, to be fair, when I look at that play, it was very 50-50. I can definitely see that sometimes being called a penalty, but I also kind of feel like maybe he kind of went down a little bit too easily as well. But nevertheless, they said no penalty during that play. Then the referee was told he sucked because the Union was about to go on the attacking play, but the referee immediately stopped because of a head injury. Obviously, that was the right call because anytime when there's a head injury, it doesn't really matter what happened. The ref has to stop the play there. But it obviously, I'm pretty sure the Philly fans were probably not happy about. Not just that, but also what happened in terms of the VAR call. And because you're in Philly, the ref you suck chant is going to ring out, and yeah, it definitely rang out loud because of that, and also they would have rang out loud when the VAR call wasn't in the Union favorite. Freeze would then deny Iloski from close before the post would deny Kurzetsky from the corner. NYCFC, they were just hanging on by a thread. I mean, the Union, they were pressing hard to get this equalizer. It looked like NYCFC was in row heave mode in this moment. Freeze would then deny Hariel from close, and then Simon Reed was in on goal there, and he was absolutely robbed by Blake here. And this is probably why we didn't see Simon Reed as maybe being the number 9 for this NYCFC team, because yeah, you can clearly see he doesn't really have a lot of confidence. The way that he took that shot clearly just shows a guy that doesn't really have too much confidence and composure in front of goal. But at the same time, will that moment come back to haunt NYCFC? Because with the way that the Union were pressing hard to get that equalizer, they have to make this 2-0. Freeze would then deny Hario again from close range, but then Hario got his own rebound, but unable to put this one on target. And you just kind of had a feeling, is this just one of those games for the Union where it's just not going to happen? They just couldn't really saw Matt Freeze. That seems like he looked more of his old self, and this is definitely good news for the U.S. men's national team, knowing that he's probably going to be the starting goalkeeper for the U.S. Heading into this World Cup in just a bit. And then Simon Reed was in on goal again, but this time he only hits it right to Blake because, like I said, he just have no confidence whatsoever in front of goal. And then in the 87th minute, penalty was given to the Union. So apparently they said that Martins brought down Kurzensky in the box. I don't know about that. I think that was a very soft call, and I guess maybe you got to say that maybe that's a makeup call in terms of what we saw earlier as well, where you could have said that was maybe a soft call, but I'm pretty sure Union fans immediately are going to be spamming in the comment section and saying, "What am I talking about?" When it looked like for sure that should have been a penalty. But nevertheless, this I guess maybe this is kind of a makeup call, and here comes Vasilev, a chance to bury this one to tie the game up, and he does exactly that to make it 1-1 in this game. However, in the second minute of stoppage time, Makanya got a second yellow in this. Now, late in the game, you're thinking, well, that's not really too much of a big deal. I mean, it's a red card in stoppage time. Does NYCFC have time to maybe retake the lead? Oh, you better believe they do, because there was 10 minutes of stoppage time, and losing Makanya, it definitely upsets the balance, at least on the defensive end for the Union, because I think NYCFC saw one of their center back got sent off, and they immediately smell blood to try to get the lead back. Ojeda would then hits it right to Blake in the 6th minute of stoppage time, but then in the 10th minute of stoppage time, Tavon Gray would score from Ojeda, and Magno to give NYCFC the lead again, and that would be the final score of this game. How about NYCFC? I mean, not a lot of team has that kind of determination and show that grit to able to come back after holding on for dear life and giving up the late goal. But great job by NYCFC to show that determination, and once again, kind of make Union fans kind of live their head rent free when it comes to the fact that they have kind of been put a little onage over the Philadelphia Union, at least in the last couple of years. Shots in this one: 17 shots committed, 13 that NYCFC had, 10 shots on goal for the 5 that the Union has, 6 shots off target for the none that NYCFC had, 8 shots that was blocked for the 6 that the Union has, and possession wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that the Union has in this game. And like I said, I really hope that we see another battle between both of these teams. I mean, I know at the end of the day, you might look at this game and think, well, it doesn't look like it was an exciting game. Oh, you better believe it. It was anything but that. I mean, this was definitely a very entertaining game and a game where, again, it just kind of had that playoff vibe. I mean, it's hard to believe that even in the second week of the season, we have that kind of vibe, but, this game really definitely produced it, and I can't wait to see when both of these teams face off against each other when this meeting is going to be in New York, whether it's going to be at Yankee Stadium or it's going to be at Citi Field. I haven't checked the schedule when exactly the return leg between the Union and NYCFC is going to actually take place. But that being said, I am now going to switch board and now look at the last two games, including that thrilling Sunday night soccer game that we saw about a couple of hours ago. All right, so now we get to talk about the main event. I'm pretty sure this is the game you want me to talk about now, and this is probably the one that you already click on the timestamp in terms of me talking about the Florida Derby between Orlando City and Inter Miami. But one thing I will say about this game, at least for an Orlando City perspective, this game pretty much sums up the season that they had last year, where in the first half everything was going well for Orlando City. They were 2-0 up, looked like they were once again going to get another big Florida Derby win against Inter Miami and kind of continue that ownage against their Florida in-state rival at home as well. And then the second half happened. Everything fell apart for this team, and I don't think a lot of people were surprised about this. Especially, I feel like as soon as Miami got that goal back in the 47th minute, and then they got the equalizer in the 57th minute, I think everybody in the building knew that Miami's gonna come back to win this. They done this pretty much a lot in recently, and for Orlando City, like I said, it just kind of felt like last season. First half, great. Second half, absolute collapse, and is kind of the reason why last season it ended the way it did for the Lions. Now in the first half, Bright with the game's first shot, but he puts it wide before Crepeau denied Messi as the flag went up in the 10th minute. This, by the way, is Messi' first official game against Orlando City at Inter and Co Stadium, and let's say he definitely enjoyed his life in this game as well. Miami definitely looked like they were the better side early. They were trying to draw first blood in this Florida Derby, and just like last week, it's been a slow start for Orlando coming out of the gate. You just kind of worry, oh boy, is this going to be ugly for Orlando because of the way that it doesn't seem like they showed up in this game either. Messi would then puts one to Daytona from 40 yards out. The shots were 2-0 for Miami 20 minutes in, but then on the first shot for Orlando City, it's in the back of the net. It's Paxalich. He scored from Angulo to give Orlando a 1-0 lead. And for Dane Sinclair, again, I'm really trying hard to not really celebrate whenever Dane Sinclair make an error as well, especially of some of the things in some of my opinion that I have before. But if I am a truthful person, I will say that I kind of do sometimes enjoy seeing Dane Sinclair had these kind of moments, and overall just it's been a nightmare start for Dane Sinclair in his time with Inter Miami. I mean, to be fair, he did get a little bit better as the game goes along, but this is the one that is the reason why a lot of Miami fans are calling for his heads already and want Rios Novos back in goal, because this is one that he should have saved. Like, I've seen him make that save all the time when he was with the Loons, and you just kind of feel like maybe the confidence level of him is just not there right now. He just doesn't have a lot of confidence, especially the nightmare game that he had against LAFC as well. And it feels like this game up to this point, it looked like it was here we go again with the way that Dane Sinclair is going to really make a mess of things, and is going to cost Miami again, just like what he did against LAFC. And then just 4 minutes later, Orlando would make it 2-0. And on only their second shot of the game, Ojeda would score from Dorsey to make it 2-0. And that was kind of a taste of the old medicine that Miami just suffered, because it was a prime Barca ticky tacky, like just so well he worked from Orlando City. And just like that, it was 2-0 up. The fans, they were going absolutely nuts. I mean, there were definitely a good contention of Miami fans and so-called Messi fans as well in the stands, but yeah, it was still majority. I see a lot of people in the crowd, and they were definitely during themselves being 2-0 up. DePaul did look to answer, but he was denied by Crepeau, and then he absolutely robbed Messi from point blank range. And yeah, Crepeau definitely made his case early to be the Canadian number one job, especially on the other side of the guy that he's fighting for that number one job. Just kind of had a nightmare start. Yeah, it feels like he was gonna win this job after this game. Spoiler alert, maybe that might not be the case. In fact, you know who else kind of had a bad night in this one? Jesse Marsh. I mean, I can't imagine if Jesse Marsh watched this game and watch how both of his goalkeeper kind of make some mistakes throughout this game. How, oh boy, who exactly is going to be the Canadian number one for the World Cup, and whether or not if it's going to be a good thing, or if they're not going to make some crucial mistake in the World Cup, because both of these goalkeeper that's fighting for their Canadian number one job, safe to say that they kind of had a very inconsistent and for the most part a pretty rough night as well. Alande would then hits it right to Crepeau in the 33rd minute before Messi had a free kick that was deflected wide. But we do head to halftime with Orlando leading 2-0. Now, normally when you're leading big against your rival, there's really not much to worry about. But remember, this is Inter Miami. We know that when they're 2-0 thing down, that's almost like their favorite score, because you just kind of had a sense that more times or not when they're down with that scoreline, they're gonna always find a way to come back, and it doesn't take much, because just 2 minutes into the game, they would make it 2-1. Savetti, we scored from Segovia and Mora to cut the deficit in half, and they said this was actually the first goal that Savetti has scored in the regular season as well. Both of his goals that he scored for Miami was in the postseason, and yeah, it was an absolute banger as well. Crepeau, he kind of got screened there, just couldn't react there in time, but nevertheless, even if he did react in time, I don't know if he could have got to that one. It was just so well he hit for Matteo Savetti, and just like that, it was 2-1 in this one. I mean, wrote that these next 10 minutes could be telling for Orlando, because if they concede again, you better believe that the panic button has to be hit, because we know what's going to happen in this one. On the other end, Dane Sinclair would deny Ojeda in the near post before Messi hits it right to Crepeau in the 55th minute. But then the 57th minute, you knew this was gonna happen. The GOAT himself finally is gonna make a statement in his first game, uh, playing playing against Orlando in Orlando, and he scored here from Segovia and Savetti to tie the game up at two apiece. Just vintage Messi here. He somehow find the tightest window. Only GOAT himself can do that, and yeah, just like that, the game was tied up at two apiece. And like I said, Orlando, they probably are hitting the panic button, and you just kind of had a feeling that, yep, Miami's going to come back from this, right? Although the Post did deny Brecalo on the header in the 61st minute before Dane Sinclair denied Ojeda in the near post in the 71st minute. Orlando kind of got some good response, but again, not able to put away that third goal, not able to retake that lead. It just kind of feel like this is still going to go according to the script, where somehow Miami is going to come back from this, right? Because in the 85th minute, Segovia would make it 3-2 in this one. I mean, you saw this coming with the way that Miami was kind of dominating the second half, and Orlando were kind of doing a reverse of what they did in the opening game, where they were bad in the first half but good in the second half. In this game, it was them being good on the first half and being bad in the second, and just like that, Miami were looking to do something they've never done, which is beat Orlando City in Orlando. And things gets worse for Orlando City as Gusky gets himself a second yellow card of the game, and that allowed Miami to score their fourth goal of the game, as the GOAT himself would score the fourth goal of the game. And while it was a decent free kick, and I'm pretty sure those Miami's and Messi Fairweather fan got their wish of seeing a free kick goal from the GOAT himself. That is one that Grey Bull should have saved. I mean, one wasn't really one of the better free kick we have seen Messi hit. And yeah, again, for Jesse Marsh, he's gonna have a lot of thinking to do, because both of his goalkeeper that he's trying to choose to be the Canadian #1 job for the World Cup. Didn't really perform up to the part that he was hoping for in this big showdown. In the 5th minute stoppage time, Spicer would puts one into the stands. But yeah, in the end, for the first time in this Florida Derby history, Inter Miami gets the win against Orlando City in Orlando. They get the come from behind 4-2 win in this one. The shots in this one, 16 shots with a 12 that Orlando City has, 8 shots on goal with a 5 that Orlando has, 4 shots off target with a 2 that Miami has, 5 shots was blocked with a 2 that Orlando City has, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that Orlando City has in this game. And I think this game also kind of just showed you that if you have any doubt of Inter Miami at any point of this game, or even in the beginning of the season, I heard a lot of people were saying after Miami went down 2-0 and how they say Miami is clearly washed and it seems like the team has lost the plot. This is why you can't count out Inter Miami. They will always find way to find some magic even in a rough spot like this. And yeah, they did it again in this one. But if you're Orlando City, I mean, I know it's very easy to overreact, especially after playing against a good opponent like Inter Miami, especially playing against an angry opponent that is Inter Miami after losing their opening game. But yeah, I mean, these first two games of them not putting 90 minutes performance and them continue to kind of go through this losing streak coming going back to last year as well. Like I said, these are kind of the games that can really derail a team season, even if it's only the second game of the season. And I'm just gonna be interested to see, and at least if you're Orlando City fan, you are very interested to see how this team will respond in the next game and these next couple of one. Because like I said before, if this team does not do well, and if they continue to start off horribly to begin the season, Oscar Pereira might be the first head coach to be fired from this season. The seat is definitely getting hotter for Oscar Pereira with every losses that this Orlando City team is dealing with to begin the season as well. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next match, and that, of course, is San Diego and St. Louis. And I gotta say, last year when I went to this game on this exact same day, I definitely enjoyed myself in terms of attending some history of seeing San Diego play their first ever home game. What I did enjoy is the fact that it ended up in a 0-0 draw. Now, this game didn't end up in a 0-0 draw. Thankfully, there was at least goal in this one, but it kind of also makes me wonder, man, I wish I would have just attended this game instead of the other one. Even though I know I'm gonna miss out on history, at least not only this game had goals that was featured and a great atmosphere, but my oh my, this was probably the worst Apple TV production game I've seen so far. I mean, from minute one, the audio sound was kind of already off, and that this has kind of also started to become a little bit of theme, at least in the beginning of the season, where I feel like there's been more games where there's been audio issue. And then Apple TV had a Fox moment in the second half, and yeah, when you have a Fox moment, know how I feel about watching MLS game. Like honestly, really, come on, Apple TV. I know Fox have had these kind of moments of cutting away doing live action in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and I mentioned how much I hate that, and I praise how Apple TV has done a good job to not do that. And then they did it in this game. And what's even worse is that not only they did it in this game, they miss a goal in this game as well. Now, early on, one goal that was not missed was the third-minute goal from Anders Dreyer, as he finally got his first goal of the season from Ingvarsson and Valakari to give San Diego a 1-0 lead, and that has to feel good for Anders Dreyer. As much as I know he is more of the assist maker, he definitely wants to get his goal scoring tally going. He hasn't really quite done so. He came close a couple of times this season, but he finally got the 2026 goal scoring account open with his first goal of the season. It was also the first shot of the game as well, and yeah, it was just kind of champagne soccer for San Diego perspective. I actually wrote St. Louis as well. I actually meant San Diego there. So yeah, just like that, it was 1-0 in favor of San Diego. Dreyer then looked for another, but he missed high there. That also came out of a bad turnover for St. Louis. That St. Louis defense was absolutely lifeless early in this game. I mean, it was chasing shadow 8 minutes in. They had no answer in terms of dealing with the press that San Diego was putting. Berkey then denied Valakari from close before Ingvarsson would put it wide out on a lightning counterattack. And besides the fact that they had trouble in terms of dealing with the press. They had no answer with the transition as well. I usually don't associate San Diego in terms of playing transitional soccer, but man, when they go on the transition, they look dangerous as well. And St. Louis had no answer how to deal with it, at least in the beginning. Betcher would then miss a tap in on the doorstep of goal in the 24th minute. Eventually, I thought St. Louis did start to get into the game. It feels like their defense kind of started to tighten things up. They're not getting sliced apart on the transition, and their press that they were also using against San Diego was actually pretty effective up to as the half goes along. Betcher would then puts it just high from close, but we do head to halftime with San Diego leading 1-0. Now in the second half, there was a shout for a penalty for San Diego not given. Berkey would deny McVeigh from close, as once again it was a promising start for San Diego, who was looking for the second goal. And then this is when Apple TV had that Fox Sports moment. It decided to cut away the feed in the middle of the game, and then by the time that it came back, San Diego was already celebrating their second goal. So yeah, great job Apple TV in terms of us missing a goal here because the feed went away. We never saw Ingverson scoring live in terms of the goal he got from Dryer, and it was unfortunate that we didn't see it too because Dryer made an incredible pass to Ingverson, and yeah, I mean that's just vintage Anders Dryer, and once again, it just kind of shows you that Apple TV's got to get their acts together at least in the beginning of the season. I know that recently there's been that announcement that it seems like the deal between Apple TV and MLS is going to cut shorter than what we expected, but that doesn't mean that Apple TV are just phoning it. I mean, it kind of feels like ever since that announcement, they're just kind of almost mailing it, and this is just absolutely unacceptable to see in this situation where yeah, we never got a chance to saw the second go live because Apple TV just decided that nope, we're not going to show this game whatsoever just because we couldn't deal with the technical difficulty that happened throughout this game. Berkey then denied Dua as the flag came up for offside. San Diego definitely was feeling it again, dominating the possession and not letting St. Louis a sniff in their opposition half. Pompeo would then hits the side netting before Pellegrino blasts one into the supporter section. Berkey then denied Pellegrino from close in the 74th minute, and I gotta say, Roman Berkey, if he wasn't in this game, I think this could have been easily 4 or 5-0 in favor of San Diego. I mean, San Diego was feeling it at time, and this is not the first time we've seen Roman Burki kind of doing his best to keep his team in the game, but that St. Louis defense says, nope, we're just going to hang you out to dry. Something we've seen a lot in these last two seasons for St. Louis as well. Teuscher then went beast mode here. He basically went through the entire San Diego back line trying to poke this one in, but the shot was clear off the line by Sargent. Dwyer then had an empty net to shoot here. Looked like he was making a 3-0, but Edelman just kind of came out of nowhere, able to track back and broke that play up. It wouldn't have counted either way because the flag went up for offside, and then Koisher would puts it high from close in the fifth minute stoppage time. But yeah, in the end, San Diego, they do get the 2-0 win. It was a pretty professional performance, despite the fact that it was a very unprofessional performance by Apple TV and the way that they broadcasting this game. I mean, I think they probably spent all their budget in terms of broadcasting this one that they decided that yeah, we're not even gonna bother trying to show the game properly in this one. The shots in this one, 10 shots committed, just 4 that St. Louis had. 1 shot on goal for the 6 that San Diego has. 3 shots off target for the 2 that St. Louis had. No shots was blocked for the 1 that San Diego has. And possession wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession that St. Louis has in this game, and it doesn't get any easier when it comes to St. Louis schedule. Again, I just feel like for St. Louis, they're a little unlucky in terms of dealing this tough hand to begin the season. Similar to what I said about Minnesota, kind of had a little unlucky dealing with a tough hand of starting the season with some really good team. And while Minnesota, at least for the most part, has done a pretty good job dealing with this tough schedule, already getting 4 points on the board. Unfortunately, you can't say the same about this St. Louis team. And really, the bottom line when you look at the St. Louis team, and I mean, obviously, a lot of people is going to point fingers to the defense, but you got to remember they're also are still dealing with some defensive injury, and some of the guys that they brought in on the defensive end are guys from last season, and those are the guys that they're trying to replace because that defense was not good whatsoever. But I also think that for Corey Ray this summer transfer window, they're definitely going to be focused a lot on the attack, especially for a number 9 as well. Because unfortunately, even though Simon Betcher is giving his chances to maybe be that guy, yeah, he hasn't really kind of showed that he is that guy as well. The goal scoring is definitely going to be a problem for the St. Louis team in the beginning of the season, and yeah, well, they're just gonna have to kind of limp their way maybe until the summer to finally find that number nine, find that Jaw Claus replacement because it's just not working right now with this team, at least on the attacking end. And we kind of knew that was going to be the case after they've spent so much focus this offseason in terms of first fixing their defense and then worry about maybe fixing the attack in the near future as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to looking at all of these games from the Sunday quadruple action. I forgot to even mention in the beginning that I'm just kind of focused on these four games on Sunday. Tomorrow, of course, I'll finish reviewing the remaining game on Saturday night. I already sneak a review in earlier today in terms of talk about the matinee game on Saturday and also the one game that happened. That was actually the Saturday Walmart showdown of the week in terms of now Saturday game seems like there's always that one game that gets the Sunday night soccer treatment of being the main focus of the game. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of these quadruple action today of all four of these games happening on Sunday. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.